So I've been using the Honor 200 on and off for a couple of weeks now, and this one's got me thinking. You know when you're using a phone and it just quietly ticks all the boxes? It doesn't flex itself in any one area, it just does everything really, really well. And this Honor 200 really seems to fit that bill. Forget the Pro and forget the 200 Lite, just this vanilla Honor 200. So it's got me thinking, so let's just talk about it. So from the moment I unboxed the Honor 200, I got that feeling. You know, the one where you unbox a phone and you pick it up and you think, that feels really, really nice. And that's definitely the impression that I got when I unboxed this phone. You know, the back is this smooth, there's a slightly matte finish depending on the color that you go for. And it's got this curved display that just melts into the frame. And honestly, it looks more expensive than it is. And I know a lot of people are moving away from curved screens, but with this one, it's actually really subtle. It's not too curved, just enough to feel premium without giving you accidental touches every time you hold it. And let's be real, design is subjective, of course, but Honor really nailed it with this one. It's lightweight, it feels premium, there's no flexes, no creaks or anything like that. Honor did a really great job. And in this color, yeah, they did a great job with this phone. And a quick side note, if you're considering picking up an Honor 200, definitely check out this case from Tudia. They sent over their MergeGrip case, which offers a really great protection, nice grippy case, doesn't add too much bulk to the phone. And if you're a little bit clumsy, like I said, it offers some really great protection. And it is available in a few colors. It's also available in black, but I've only got the 3. I'll leave a link down in the description if you're interested in this case. Back to the video. Let's talk display. The Honor 200 comes with a 6.7-inch OLED display, and man, it's really, really good. We're talking 120Hz refresh rate, 1.5K resolution, and seriously punchy colors. And watching videos on this thing is absolutely beautiful. Scrolling through social media is buttery smooth, and gaming is really immersive. It's bright enough outdoors, it supports HDR10 content, and you've got all the modern niceties like eye protection modes, and even PWM dimming for those who are sensitive to screen flickers. And would I call it the best display on the market? Absolutely not, of course not. But for the price, it's definitely up there. And if you didn't tell me the price, I think you could easily mistake this for a flagship tier display. Now here's where things get really interesting with the Honor 200. So performance, you get a Snapdragon 7 Gen 3. Of course, I know what you're thinking. That's not a flagship chip. Absolutely not. But this thing flies. It handles everything so well. Day-to-day tasks, flawless. Multitasking, smooth as ever. And gaming, I'm not an intense gamer. I've made that very clear in basically all of my videos. But this 7 Gen 3 is absolutely fine for handling some pretty intense gaming on some higher settings. And then that 120Hz refresh rate just makes the whole experience just feel really, really smooth. The bezels are super thin on this display, which of course helps with that immersive feeling. Yeah, overall, it's just a really great display, punchy colors, really, really nice display. I can't say anything bad about it really. And if you're coming from a budget phone that's even a couple of years old, this is gonna feel like a massive upgrade. So what about the software? Well, MergeOS always used to be a sticking point when it comes to Honor phones, but that has changed a little bit over the years. Out of the box, the Honor 200 comes with MergeOS 8.0 based on Android 14, although I am running MergeOS version 9 based on Android 15 now, so it's had a nice upgrade. But it's still a bit of a learning curve when you're coming from stock Android, but it's smoother, more refined, and it feels less bloated than previous versions. And yeah, you'll still find some of Honor's own apps built into this, like their health app and a few other bits and bobs, but nothing that I would particularly call bloatware. You can disable a lot of these apps as well if you really don't want to use them, but you still get plenty of customization options with the Honor 200 and MergeOS with your wallpapers and your themes, and then you've got split screen, multi-window, all of those bits and bobs if you really want to play around with MergeOS and really customize your device. Yeah, this is really, really great, and everything feels really smooth, again thanks to that Snapdragon 7 Gen 3, MergeOS being a pretty light software skin, definitely one of my favorite, as well as One UI and then just stock Android as well. So Again, software on the Honor 200 has been great. You've got Android 15. Well, sorry, I'm running Android 15. You'll probably have Android 14 out of the box if you pick one up now, but you do get 4 years of major OS updates on this Honor 200, and then you'll get a few extra security patches on top of that as well. So overall, you're set even now if you buy this phone today. So yeah, really great. Whew, okay, so let's talk about the cameras, because this is an area where I think Honor will catch a lot of people off guard, and it definitely comes with more than what you might think. The Honor 200 rocks a triple camera setup, a 50 megapixel main camera with optical image stabilization, a 50 megapixel telephoto lens, yes, the proper one, and a 12 megapixel ultra wide. Now the main camera, absolutely fantastic. It's not just megapixels for show. This thing really captures detail, handles dynamic range really, really well, and night mode is actually usable without feeling too processed. And portrait mode, of course, the Honor 200 is partnered with that French company, Hardcore or whatever it's called, to give you some really great portrait shots, especially thanks to that telephoto camera. It's actually a lot better than what I expected. It's limited to just 2.5x optical zoom. You can push it, of course, a lot further than that, but I think the sweet spot is that 2.5x, and then you could probably push it to around 5x to get you some really decent shots. If you go any further than that, that's when obviously the digital noise is going to start to creep in. But yeah, overall, I think the telephoto camera and the main camera on this phone is really great. It will definitely outperform a lot of the budget phones that you might find at, of course, slightly cheaper prices, but even some of them at even the same price or even a bit more. This will definitely perform a lot better than those phones. So yeah, it's absolutely great, and I don't think you can complain too much about this camera. The ultra wide is, you know, it's fine. It's good for group shots or landscapes, but it's clearly the least polished of the three. But again, it's still nice to have, gets you some nice detailed shots. Color doesn't deviate too much from those main cameras. So overall, yeah, really great. And then selfies, another 50 megapixel sensor up front, which of course sounds wild to be on a selfie camera, but honestly, it does deliver. Maybe a little too polished sometimes with the beauty filters, which you of course can turn them off, but it's perfect for social media ready shots. So in short, the cameras on the Honor 200, they're not just good for the price, they're good, period. And I think for 250 quid, which is the price that you can find this phone for on Amazon, I don't think you're going to find a huge amount better than this Honor 200. But of course, the photo part of any review is the most subjective. Some people might give me hate in the comments and completely disagree with the quality of the photos. But for me personally, I really like the photos coming from this phone. Definitely comment down below if you agree or disagree. And also hit subscribe if you're enjoying this video. I've got plenty more like this on the way. Yeah, let's move on. And then the battery on the Honor 200 is just insanely good. Put it into context. So I took the phone off charge at 6:30 this morning, I want to say. The time is now 7:15 in the evening. I've only had just a shade under 2 hours of actual screen on time. I'm not a major user of any of the phones I review, but to put it into context, I've got 64% battery left. So if you calculate that across, of course, the entire length of the battery, I reckon you can easily get 5-6 hours of screen on time with this battery. So overall, you can easily get a couple of days of moderate use from this battery, absolutely. But of course, if you are running a little bit low, you can get up to 100 watts of fast charging, which will get you from 0 to 70% in something ridiculous like 20 minutes. So yeah, really good battery life, really fast charging. I've got no complaints. I really don't. And then just a few little extras on the Honor 200 that you won't necessarily find on every single phone at this price range. The phone has stereo speakers, they're loud, clear, and actually have some pretty good balance. They're not flagship level, of course, but they're not really tinny either. The haptics are pretty solid too. They're not super crisp flagship kind of haptics, but again, considering the price, it's satisfying enough to not feel cheap. The in-display fingerprint scanner is super quick as well, and then you get the usual 5G, Wi-Fi 6, NFC. There's no 3.5mm headphone jack for those old school folk that still like to use wired headphones, but I personally don't. I just use wireless all the time. But yeah, there's plenty of extras on this phone to really make it a worthy option if you're considering a phone around the £250 price, of course. So here's the thing with the Honor 200. Now, it's not priced like a flagship. It's not trying to be a flagship. Upon release, I think it was about 500 quid, 450, 500 quid. But now you can pick up this phone on Amazon, brand new, like I did. I think I paid just a shade under 260, and it is hovering around that sort of price. And for all the features that you get, that's a solid price. And that's where the question comes in of, is it one of the best all-rounders you can get? Personally, for me, it's definitely a phone that should be on your radar if you want a phone that doesn't necessarily excel or be the best in one particular category, but does everything in each category very, very well. Of course, you'll find better gaming phones, you'll find something with a better camera, battery life. All right, yeah, that's something you might struggle to find something that's considerably better than this phone. And of course, build quality, you'll find something that's better. But for $250, for everything that you're getting, high refresh rate display, stunning OLED display, triple camera system, a usable triple camera system, wicked battery life, 100-watt fast charging, I think you're definitely going to struggle to find something that's considerably better than this phone at this price. And then of course there's the statement that I've put in the title that I don't miss my flagship. I use an iPhone 15 Pro Max as my main phone, and this Honor 200 could easily replace my iPhone 15 Pro Max. If I wasn't using it for this use case in terms of recording all of my YouTube videos, and I was fully invested in the Honor ecosystem in terms of smartwatches, tablets, laptops, all that stuff, the Honor 200 I could easily daily until the end of time, so to speak. It's a really great phone. Let me know down in the comments what you think of the Honor 200. Of course, it came out last year, but you're still going to get a few years of major Android updates, and then of course security patches as well. The Honor 400, of course, is on the horizon, so we'll see what that brings. I am hopefully going to be picking up an Honor 400 Lite as soon as that's made available here in the UK. I know some of the big YouTubers have managed to get their hands on one, but sadly not me. But let me know down in the comments, hit subscribe if you enjoyed a more laid back video, a little bit like this. Let me know your thoughts on the Honor 200, and I will see you next time.